I'm Ryan Malyar, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Marlborough Minute. As I get to explore and know the community in Marlborough better and better, people just pop up into my email box. They pop up here and there and everywhere, and I'm always astonished with the talent and creativity that we have in this vibrant community. Today, I'm so happy to be joined by Marie Elena Nigro. She is local here in Marlborough, and she is an author. She has published a lovely book called Family, Friends, and Light, and it also has illustrations by her sister, Sally Fantasia. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I just wanted to welcome Marie to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. I've been going through this book, and I was just talking to you off air a moment ago about how charming these stories are. They are the perfect story when I was having a cup of coffee this morning to go and open up to any of these pages. There are short stories, there are poems, and they just give such a sense of home to me. Even though it's not my family and not my friends and not my sister, these stories are so relatable. Tell me a little bit about your history and what brought you to put these stories on paper.
Well, ever since I was around 9 years old, I used to love writing because I felt it was a way of talking to someone that wasn't there. I never wanted to forget some of my memories. If I was upset or sad or just happy, I would just pen in hand. Many times it would be pencil. Many times that hand would take off without me even realizing. And it would just go, and I would just let it go, and I would write everything that I was feeling. I wrote when I was in high school. I used to walk down to the town newspaper, and I would submit a poem about once a week, and they would publish it in the newspaper. And my mother and father used to be very proud that people in the grocery store would stop them and say, "Oh my gosh, I just read that such and such poem. I love it. It made me cry." I would write all kinds of things, and I thought I wanted to go into journalism at the time, and then it dawned on me, I don't want to learn someone else's technique of writing. I want to write my own. Because back then I thought, this is a gift that I was given. I've got to do this on my own terms, not the way someone else wrote.
And that's something I appreciate about this, is that it isn't cookie cutter.
That's right.
There are different turns of phrase that are very unique and very special to the way that you speak and the way that you think. I'm curious if this is a compilation or if this was an effort where you sat down and said, I'm writing a book, or if this is a compilation of writings from years and years.
This is a compilation I've written for well over 50 years. I've had a box of my writings tucked under my bed or in my closet. Over the years, when I got married, I thought being married and having children was more important than anything else I wanted to do, so this was pushed on the back burner. I wrote during my married life, my pregnancies and my parents passing away and my father-in-law passing. I wrote, but I tucked it away. And then my children grew up. They got married, they're starting their own families, they're on their own. My husband passed away. I'm now doing things to keep myself busy. I'm retired, and I thought, you know what? There are some things I need to do because, as I've always told everybody and as I believe, tomorrow is promised to no one. So I made sure I'm getting all my things in order, my will, my trust, I'm decluttering, and I looked at my box of poetry and I thought, oh my God, those are my babies.
Right.
Those are my babies. What's going to happen to them? I don't want someone to just throw them away. I want to share a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them with other people because I enjoyed rereading many of them and I would remember the memories. So I thought, you know what? I think I better put something in a book, at least to leave to my grandchildren.
As you took a second pass and look at, as you compiled and picked and chose, did you do any further editing, or did you sort of keep things as a time capsule the way they were and the frame of mind that you were in when you originally wrote them?
I kept them just the way they were. The only editing was spelling or punctuation.
Yeah.
But I kept them just as they were because as far as I'm concerned, that was original works of art. And I still have the original handwritten papers, and a lot of them are 50 to 60 years old.
I told you my experience, but for the listeners and viewers, what is your description of this compilation? How would you describe what we have here?
I'm very proud that I have put together some easy to read poems and some easy to read stories, and most of these stories are true, most of them. And I'm just very proud that I got to do that, and people enjoy them, and they tell me, oh my God, this one made me cry, and this one made me happy, and oh, I remember that. So I have more at home to do. I want to be putting another book together.
Volume 2.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I was just even thinking my mother and my mother-in-law, how lovely it would be for them to have something like this, because often it's very challenging to pick up a big novel and I think of the stories that my mom always used to love growing up. A Cup of Christmas Tea was a compilation of Christmas stories that were able to pick up and just snuggle on the couch for a little bit and open up to any page and have just a full experience. And that's sort of what we're getting here.
When I was in high school, in the writing class, they used to ask me to help other people write poetry and things like that. And people had a stigma about poetry. Oh, it's an old English thing from hundreds of years old. And I would say, no, it isn't. And then when my kids were in middle school, the teachers invited me in to talk to the kids. And I said to the kids, they also thought, oh, poetry is some old English stuff, you know. I said, no. You like songs? You like music? Think about the words. Most of them are a poem. It starts with a poem, and then somebody puts music to it. And that got a lot of kids excited about writing things because they realized, I can turn this into a song. And that's what most of the songs are.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's some really excellent stories, and I don't know which ones are true, which ones are false. There was a really funny one about a bunch of youngins, I'm thinking maybe this was you, going off and finding this abandoned house.
That was true.
And sneaking in, and there's the woman who used to live there, her rosary beads, and it's just a mess, and these kids, and then they get scared by a rustling outside.
That was true.
It's a true story.
Yeah, and she had died, and her rosary beads were still on the wall above her bed.
Ooh, it's kind of chilling.
Yeah, that was a true story.
But that's just one sweet little story told in 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much you can condense in there. And I had this lovely read this morning, enjoying that.
Thank you.
Would you be willing to perhaps read a piece here?
I will read. I will read the poem called The Cross. It is dedicated to my father. How's that?
Yeah.
The Cross by Marie Elena Fantasia. I followed my father one day, and up the hill we walked. The sun shone so pretty that day as we began to talk. We talked about the future, what I should do when I face it alone. I could tell this talk was serious by his shaky voice and quiet tone. He tried hard to sound natural, but the lump in his throat gave him away. He told me life will be harder, and I can't run to Daddy every day. Said, daughter, you're growing up, and someday soon I'll leave. I want you to be the best, and when I go, don't you grieve. He showed me a religious medal, and with love he kissed the cross, then laid it down so carefully on some cool and comfortable moss. Now this cross will always stay here and bless my father's land. Like cool raindrops falling, I'll sift moss through my hand. When I'm older, I will return, and on this hill I'll climb, and kneel beneath the pine trees on the moss I knew I'd find. Sitting there so gracefully is the cross my daddy kept, and I, feeling so lonely, kissed the cross and wept. Isn't that nice?
I'm going to try not to get choked up. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is it based on a true story? Is there
based-
a medal on a hill?
No, we had a hill.
You had a hill.
It was always considered my father's land. My father gave me a religious medal, and I blessed it at the church.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It really is beautiful. And even from this, I'm realizing tones and themes throughout the book. You mentioned a hill in another story. It's a story about coming down in the morning, and this imagery of traveling through doors and traveling through kitchens and up hills through memories. It's really a beautiful imagery that you bring.
Thank you. That's what I grew up. We had a hill in the back that went into woods. I used to walk up there barefoot. I used to sit on a rock under the trees. I always had a pad of paper and a pen with me, or a pencil. I would just sit there by myself in the quiet, in the beauty, and I would write.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
There's some illustrations in this book as well. Can you tell me about who worked on it with you?
Oh, my sister Sally did, and she was hoping that they would show up larger in the book.
Oh.
The comets bells, I did that on my own, but and that's a true story. But that poem that my sister illustrated for, Papa Showed Me the Way, I wrote that for my last grandchild that was born. I have another one on the way, and Papa is my husband in heaven. So that story was written for him as though he sent the baby down to earth. So she did the illustrations for all that, and the four children's, the other three children standing on the side of the bed when the new baby was born are my other three grandchildren there to see their new sister. And her name is Genevieve.
That's very sweet.
Thank you.
Who's had a chance to read this book, and what has the response been so far?
Oh, a lot of people I know have read the book, and they have loved it. My sister in California, Sally, this is the third book she's illustrated.
Oh,
and
congratulations, Sally.
And a lot of her friends bought it, and she had me buy it, and she sent me the money. She had me buy it and send it to them autographed. And then she autographed as the illustrator and handed them the book with the two autographs. I've had a lot of cousins. I've had sisters. Everybody's buying it around me.
That's lovely.
Yes, thank you.
You give out a bunch for Christmas?
I did.
Yes. Merry Christmas, here's my book.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I love it. If I had the courage to write something like this, I'd be very proud.
Thank
and
you.
you said it did take you a lot of courage to get to a place where you were willing to share your story.
Yes, because there are some writings I have that I won't share with people. But these that were really like a picture in my life of growing up, or a picture with my children, those memories I want to share. And that's why I have it on paper. That's why I had it published.
And it's amazing how universal they are.
It is. It's like, when there's always a problem cousin or an aunt or something. Everybody will say, oh, there's one in every family. Well, same with the stories. We got the same kind of story in every family.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Where can folks pick this up?
Amazon or Barnes & Noble online.
Absolutely. And make sure if you're searching for Friends, Family, and Light that you search Marie Elena. That's who we're looking for, even though she goes by Marie Nigro. You got to make sure you do the right search. And congratulations
Thank
once
you very
again.
much.
I hope that there's a follow-up and a second one. I'd love to have you back here again. And I'm already buzzing. I've got some ways to do some extra publicity for you. So we're going to talk after once we're off the air. I want to get this out here because I know a lot of folks who just really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That brings us to the end of another episode of Marlborough Minute. If you're a Marlborough resident with a story to tell, please be in touch. I'd love to have you on the show. Take care.